All right, in this video, I will be showing you how to slice a 3D model mesh in half and put in some Boolean keys, pins, to glue them together after printing. So you might ask why you want to do that. And imagine you have a 3D print. You want to print it quite large. So let's say we want to print this at 300%. Well, notice that it won't fit on your printer as is. So we may want to chop this in half to print it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that in Mesh Mixer. It's a pretty simple workflow, but it'll take you a few minutes. So the model that we're looking at is by this group, Make Printable, Mother's Day statue, and I just downloaded that and brought it in. And what I've done is I've sliced it, and I've created these holes, and then I've created pins so that when you print out the top and bottom, you can glue them together. So let's get started. I'm going to delete all of this stuff, and we're going to start from scratch. Okay, I'll just say new file, or we'll just say import. We'll say replace, and here it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is it's not standing up straight, so I'm going to press on this front button in the top right cube here, in the top right corner, and I'm going to click on it. I'm going to press the T for transform, and I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees. And notice that it's facing to the right, so I'm going to click on the top. I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees this way so that it's facing the front. Okay, and I'm going to click accept, and now the model is a little easier to work with. So I'm pressing the middle mouse button to go like this, and when I hold down shift, it rotates like this. So next step is we're going to cut the model, and pay attention here because there's a few things that could go wrong. So we're going to say edit, we're going to say plane cut. I'm going to find roughly where it is in half. Maybe I'll switch to my front view. And here's where you need to pay attention. Notice up in here, we don't want cut type discard half. We want keep both. So I'm going to say cut, keep both, accept. And now it looks like it's still only one model, but the cut has worked. So what we have to do is come back up here and we say separate shells. And what that's going to do is now we have a top and a bottom. And if you don't see this little tab here, the object browser, you can come up to view, show object browser. So notice we have the 1 and the 2. So I'm going to hide the top now for a moment. I'm going to click on the bottom so it's selected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the mesh mix and I'm going to grab a cylinder. I guess you could do a square if you wanted to. I'm going to do a cylinder. I'm going to drag that on top. Now notice it's a little too big for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the dimensions down. Drag it so it's smaller, maybe around 5 millimeters. And I'm going to make sure that I create a new object rather than append to mesh. So I'm going to say create new object, accept. And now notice we have the bottom, the top piece, and the new part. But also notice that the new cylinder is not very long. So we want to change the scale a little bit of that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to pick that and I'm going to press T for transform, and I'm going to change the scale on the y-axis to be much longer. So let's say 20 millimeters. It's almost an inch. And now you can see that that cylinder is quite long, and that's the pin that we're going to print to join them together. Okay, so it's nice to have 2 pins for alignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe go to my top view here, click on the pin, press T for transform, and move it off to the side a bit. And then I'm going to click accept, and then I'm going to duplicate that pin, and I'm going to move that over a little bit over here. Okay, and now those are roughly halfway in. You see that? So that's great. I'm going to accept that. So now we have the bottom piece, the top piece, and these 2 pins, but we haven't cut the holes yet. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to take this, we're going to hide this pin for now, and we're going to select this pin, And now something that I should warn you, when we use the pin to cut the hole, you will often lose the pin. So we want to make sure that we're always duplicating pins so that we have extra. So here we go, part one. I'm going to click on this little duplicate. So now we know we have two, you see that? So I'm going to click on this base and then shift click this, and then I'm going to come up to Boolean difference. Now here's a catch. Here's something that kind of slowed me down today. The hole looks good, but when we click accept, notice it's going to go a little bit janky. You see those little triangles there? So here's how you fix that. I'm going to go undo again. We want to take this pin, and if I press W to see the mesh, you'll notice that there's not much geometry here. There's not very many triangles. So we're going to increase those triangles to make a cleaner hole. So the way I do that is I click on my select tool and I make the tool smaller with the square bracket keys. I'm going to double click on there to select it all. And I'm going to come to edit, and I'm going to say remesh. And I'm going to select linear subdivision because the other ones will change the shape. You see that? So I'm going to go linear subdivision. I'm going to drag the density all the way up. And I'm going to say accept. I can turn the mesh view off with W. But now notice, okay, I'll click escape to clear the selection. So I'm going to click the base. I'm going to click the pin. And now when I do Boolean difference, and I click accept, now notice that hole is much cleaner. So you want to remesh the pin before doing that. But keep in mind that I forgot to remesh the other pin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that, undo it so we get our denser pin back. And I'm going to delete all of the other pins. And this is our good pin now that we remeshed. So I'm going to duplicate that so we have an extra copy. And then I'm going to duplicate it again. Press T for transform and move it over. So we have two alignment pins. And accept that move, and then I'm going to duplicate that as well. So we have at least two pins here and at least two pins here. So now again, I'm going to click the bottom. I'm going to shift click a pin. I'm going to say Boolean difference, and I'm going to accept. And the reason it didn't disappear is because we have those other pins showing. But now we have that hole. So I'm going to do something similar here over here. Click on the body, shift click on the pin, Boolean difference. Now we have that hole, but we want to make sure that we still have a pin in both of those so that we can use the same pin to cut out of the top. Okay, so now I'm going to enable the view of the top and I'm going to hide the view of the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to shift click the top and shift click the pin. And I'm going to say Boolean difference. And I'm going to accept, but I'm going to make sure I still have at least one pin because we're going to want to print that pin out later. So it looks like I've gotten rid of that pin, but we still have the two here. So I'm going to duplicate another. I'm going to click on the top, shift click on the bottom, Boolean difference, accept. And again, that pin is showing up there. So now we have the top with the two holes. We have the bottom with the two holes. And so what I can do is I can export this. So let me export this. We're going to say to the desktop maybe, so we're going to call it bottom. And I'm quickly going to go into the 3D print software to show you what's going on now. And I will, I think I may have just, did I just export the wrong thing? Did I do the top? Top. And then I'm going to take one of those pins, and it doesn't really matter which. So I'm going to click File, Export on the pin. Pin. Okay, so now if we go back to our 3D print software, I'm going to delete that original. I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to open the top, bottom, and pin. Now, keep in mind that the pin is the exact same size as the hole, so we would probably want to print this a little bit smaller. The way we could do that is we could click on the pin, come over to the scale and do it like 99% or something. But again, let me see. I'm going to delete, or I'll just pull that pin off for a moment. What am I doing here? I'm trying to get to my move tool. So now notice we can easily print these big. We'd probably have to do it one at a time, but now we can easily do that much bigger. Let's see, even 300%. Yes, so we could print this quite large, 300 and then the other 300. And now again, realize that because the pin is the exact same size as the hole, what we would want to do is probably print a few of these at different sizes. So we could duplicate these pins, multiply selected, and we could, rather than doing these at 300%, we might want to do them at like 290 or something like this, and then check the fit. So there's a little bit of room to glue the pins in. Anyway, remember that before using the Boolean on those pins, you want to come up to, you want to select it, double click it, edit, remesh, linear subdivision, and crank that up, and that will give you a cleaner cut on the hole. And that should be enough to get you going. If you have any trouble, let me know in the comments, and I will be happy to walk you through it. All right, good luck and happy printing.